Okay, so folks are starting to come on now, so we'll give it about 30 seconds and then Jane will kick us off. Welcome everyone that's joining us. All right, Jane, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, and hello to everyone, and welcome to the last Pitch for Good in this inaugural series, and this is our Nashville edition. Over the last 8 months, we have heard from over 250 entrepreneurs, and we've been able to give out more than 25,000 in grants and over 10,000 in EC scholarships through this program. Pitch for Good actually started back, probably in April, when we were sitting as a team trying to figure out how to shine a light on entrepreneurs in our community, as we believe entrepreneurs allow a glimmer of hope. And it really was talking and working together to come into this Pitch for Good. And so we thank you all for being supporters of the Nashville entrepreneurial ecosystem and for allowing us to be able to host these events over the past 8 months. This month and to end this year, we're celebrating Nashville. We've opened applications to anyone that's based in Nashville or solving Nashville-centric problems. And we can't wait for you to hear from them. One thing that I have found and really strongly believe, it's important for the entrepreneurial community to work with our business community, to be able to bring innovation and to shed a light on maybe different ways or forward-looking ways of doing things. And this is right there in that sweet spot. Thank you to our program sponsors for making this happen. Fourth Capital, who's sponsoring our Nashville edition. Dell for Entrepreneurs and the Kauffman Foundation in Launch, Tennessee have sponsored this series. And we really do appreciate their and your engagement and involvement. Another important role in this series are the volunteers, those who give of their time, usually the weekend before, and who really look through and review all the talented submissions and narrow it down to 6 impressive entrepreneurs. It does take a village, and I know we're all eager to hear how they aim to make an impact. And finally, thank you to our judges. Jerry Bosselman, who I am fortunate enough to call a dear friend, founding partner of VACO, an amazing entrepreneur. Sean Henry, who I've had the opportunity to get to know over this last year, and obviously president of the Nashville Preds, which is just a staple and mainstay in our community. Brian Hendricks, who's somewhat new to our community, but he is our neighbor right across the street, president of Fourth Capital, and look forward to getting to know Brian as we continue into the new year. And finally, we are honored to have our mayor, John Cooper, who we really appreciate being able to partner with the city to do some amazing and good things today and in the future. So I'm going to turn it over to all of you to say a few words, and then Brynn, you'll take it from there. Thank you.
So thank you, Brynn. This is John over in the courthouse. It's a creative way of dealing with the pandemic here, and I'm very grateful. And thank you, Jane, as always, for inviting me to be part of the judges in today's competition. Pitch for Good demonstrates the kind of life-changing innovation that can happen in times of crisis. From testing supply chains to virtual workspaces, problem solving is keeping our economy moving and keeping us safe. And that's why Nashville needs entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial thinking more than ever. Now, these businesses make up a quarter of our economy, but it's your ideas and efforts to create jobs and economic mobility throughout Davidson County and the region that is just so important. And Metro Nashville is proud to be a founding member of the EC. And thanks to Renew Nashville, the EC, and 4 other nonprofit organizations, I'm grateful to them for helping our small business community find answers and for their support in keeping that community vibrant. Alive, vibrant, getting us through this most difficult of all years. I believe in our city, but I also believe in our entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I know that together we're going to get through this difficult time. Now, I look forward to hearing your innovative ideas to solve some of Nashville's most pressing problems. I'm, again, grateful to be asked to be a judge on this marvelous project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Hello, everyone. I'm Brynn Plummer. I'm Vice President of Inclusion and Community Relations at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. I'm so glad to be with you all this afternoon. A bit of housekeeping just to get things going. Clearly, this is a webinar, so you won't be able to talk, but you can participate, keep things going by using the chat feature. It's a great way to shout out some of the teams and innovations that you really like. You can ask questions there. We want to see everything that you have that comes up as you're watching these 6 pitches. This event is being recorded so that we can share it in all of its glory afterwards. And finally, we wanted to cover what an elevator pitch is, if you've never seen one before. So imagine, for example, you get in an elevator with Sean Henry, and you have from the first floor all the way up to floor 20 to try to convince him about your idea. You would use those 60 seconds as best you can to get him on board with what you're trying to do, right? So that's exactly what this is. You've got 60 seconds, no slides, no visual aids, just you and your idea and someone that you want to convince. And in this case, it's the audience and our panel of esteemed judges that are here. So a couple ground rules just to make sure everyone is on the same level playing field. Each entrepreneur has 1 minute to pitch. There will then be 2 minutes of questions and answers with the judges. And we will go in alphabetical order for each of the teams. With that, that's pretty much all there is. I will just acknowledge a couple people. This is one of the last events of this series, and I just cannot go without acknowledging a couple of people who made it happen. If you see those slides moving, that's Jeremy Rayleigh on the EC team, who is the producer and runs a lot of the selection support for this. So shout out to Jeremy for making this happen, and shout out to Jane for getting the EC together and making sure that we had everything we needed to get this going. All right, let's begin. Jeremy, can you give us the first team that's up today? Right, we have 2 categories. This first category is the launch phase. So these are companies that are just getting off the ground. They're from 0 to 25,000 in revenue, and they are a lot of them are already in existence. They're not just ideas; they're up and running. They're trying to get these ideas off the ground. So first, we have Angie Allen of College Leaps. Angie, are you on?
I'm here.
Yay! All right, Angie, I'm going to hand it off to you, and after your minute, I will then start 2 minutes for Q&A with our judges. The floor is yours, Angie.
Hi, my name is Angie Allen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of College Leaps. I've been a teacher here in Metro Nashville Public Schools for over 15 years. And one thing I know about the students of Nashville is they have big college dreams. So why are only 56.9% of them making the leap from high school to college? Even more disturbing, only 50% of our Black graduates and 34% of Latinx graduates are enrolling in college each year. My co-founder and I have walked thousands of students through this process, and each time the inequity and lack of a defined procedure are evident. That's why College Leaps was born. College Leaps is a mobile app that is designed to address these inequities while also individualizing students' strengths and goals. With a student to counselor ratio of 339 to 1, the need for step-by-step guidance is more evident than ever. So today we invite you not only to help change the lives of students of Nashville, but change Nashville's college-going culture. Thank you so much.
Angie, thank you so much. As a former teacher, I'm really glad this innovation exists. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock for our judges to ask questions. Anyone can begin the question asking. All right, those 2 minutes start now.
Hey, Angie, great presentation. My mom was a kindergarten teacher for 30 years, and I know how magical that role is, and I love the work that you're doing. What's your revenue structure? How do you get paid?
So right now we have a freemium app, and our goal is to build in the paid features once we get more funding. We also are planning to start a consulting portion of our business where we are providing more one-on-one help with the app as a tool instead of the main source of revenue.
I'll ask my questions quick and get out of the way. So what percentage of your revenue you think would come from people advertising on your app, and what percentage from, and about how much do you see yourself charging for the other version?
So we want to do like kind of piecemeal features where we have like document creators and things to just make this process so much easier for students. So like the features would be $2 to $3 each, $5 each, depending on what the service is. And then the consulting service, we're planning to charge around $50 to $60 an hour.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Andrew, this is Sean. Great presentation. Thanks for doing what you're doing. From an app standpoint on recurring revenue, beyond the consulting and potential advertising, from the actual end user, is there recurring revenue or is it a one-time charge?
So there would be, yeah, it would be a one-time charge per service. However, that would be like per year. So let's say a student signs up their junior year and then they would have to renew that their senior year. And if they want to keep using the service their freshman year of college, because we're going to offer FAFSA assistance and things like that, then they may want to keep that on. So they would renew it the next year as well.
And then one follow-up, I'm glad you brought up in college. That was my next question. Beyond just the financial aid aspects of it while they're in school, what about postgraduate work? Does it continue into that or does it really stop at the undergrad?
Yeah, I would really stop with the undergrad, just because that's where the most confusion. By the time you get to that graduate level, you kind of have already went through the process, understand all the nuances of the steps. But the high school students where we really want to focus because it's just all over the internet, like 26 different websites kids have to use. It's just crazy.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Angie, this is Brian. Do you have anyone currently using it?
We actually just launched on the App Store 2 weeks ago. We have about 80 users right now who are testing that out. And we did some beta testing prior, but that's about how many we have at the moment.
All right, that is our time for Q&A. Angie, thank you so much for sharing about College Leaps. Really excited for what you all have going, and with something, 88,000 children in Metro Nashville Public Schools. I know that this would benefit a ton of people and their families. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
And the whole College Leaps team. Bye, y'all. Okay, next up, we've got April Watson of MediQuest. April, let me know when you're on. Okay.
I'm here.
Wonderful, April. Love that background. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock and I will start your minute as soon as you begin speaking. Take it away.
MediQuest makes it easy for travel nurses to find available short-term housing so that they save time. Up to this point, nurses have had to sort of bounce around between different sites and multiple social media groups to find housing for upcoming assignments. So I'm creating a sort of central hub where they can search property listings by location, book directly within the app, and with a future release, connect with potential employers and find recommendations on things like meals and entertainment and goods and services. So although I chose the name MediQuest in approaching this as a service to travel nurses in search of things, it will also benefit the other groups, giving property owners access to a pool of strong renters to keep their spaces occupied, and soon giving healthcare employers another way to access potential candidates to fill open positions. My intention is that users of this app have to look no further to find what they need.
Fantastic. 57 seconds, brilliantly timed. All right, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock for Q&A for everyone to ask their questions of April about MediQuest. Judges, take it away.
So April, this is Brian. Is your model based on charging the nurses or are you charging the property owners?
I'm actually looking to collect sort of transaction fees with the booking. So on booking, so that would come from the property owners or the property management companies.
I love that space so much because there's such a demand and it's ongoing forever. How do you compete with the Airbnbs and some of the other options that are available?
That's a good question. So I've actually known a couple people who have rented out their places through Airbnb, and they sort of kind of tire quickly of maybe services. Some of them tire quickly of servicing that sort of renter. There are two different types of renters, really. So you got one that's maybe here on the weekend to party, to hang out. And that's more of a competition with hotels, you know, but this sort of person is going to be here in the community for 3 to 4 months, actually serving, helping out. I mean, of course, tourism helps out, but they're here to serve the community and looking for a home away from home. And Airbnb, the people who are renting on Airbnb might not also be able to rent to these people because they're booking in spots and places, and this group is booking for 3 or 4 months solid.
Thank you.
April, that was a great presentation. Thank you. Once you get the foothold in the MediQuest world, how scalable is this for other transient work, if you will, construction, a few others?
I hadn't thought about the other industries yet, but I don't see any reason it wouldn't work for those if the needs are similar. I was just kind of, riches are in the niches, right? So I wanted to focus on one solid area or one solid group to pitch to, and then branch out from there, you know, as opportunity avails itself.
Thank you.
We've got time for one more question.
Have you got anybody using it now, to echo Brian's question earlier?
It's in development now, so no users yet, just me testing as different user types so far.
I mean, if I were in a house, it'd be nice to have a qualified renter like that. So it's cool how you're micro-cutting a really good population.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. April, thank you so much for talking to us about MediQuest, and obviously with all of the medical facilities and medical staff that are here in Nashville and in and out of this part of the country, that would definitely be a huge boon to our town, right? Thank you. Glad we had you on. I think this is your first Pitch for Good, so we're glad to bring you into the fold. Up next, we've got another first timer at Pitch for Good, Emily Thomas of Expected Value. And so Jeremy's going to ping her and allow her to come off mute. That's sometimes why there's a little bit of pause there. Not because Emily's not quick on the draw. Emily, you out there?
Yep, I'm here.
Fantastic. Love that background too. Wow, I love how spirited people are getting with their little backgrounds. All right, Emily, take it away, my friend.
I worked with a doctor at Vanderbilt who told patients as they left the hospital, "I really enjoyed caring for you, but I hope I never see you again." Sadly, 1 in 8 patients returns in fewer than 30 days. I'm Emily Thomas, a PhD scientist and third-year medical student, and our startup is Expected Value, to provide patients with the resources they need to remain healthy at home with their loved ones. We must first identify the patients who need more care. Unfortunately, many risk algorithms intended to improve patient outcomes reinforce the biases that exist within our society. For example, by underpredicting the needs of people of color, these bias algorithms cause patients to receive fewer resources. At Expected Value, we are creating fair algorithms to predict hospital readmissions risk so that all of us can get the care we deserve. We have taken the first steps to pilot our algorithm here in Nashville. If selected, we will use the Pitch for Good grant to further these efforts. We would appreciate your support to create a more just world for all of us. Thank you.
Wow, Emily, I feel like there's been so much attention paid lately in the medical industry on inequities within the delivery of care. And so this feels really timely. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock for your Q&A. And I'm doing a little, for any sticklers out there, I'm going a little longer than 2 minutes because we got started early. Jeremy gave me permission to do so. So everyone's getting an additional 30-ish seconds. So Emily, your questions are up now.
Emily, what's an example of how you might have a different outcome than a traditional outcome?
So if you're not paying attention to fairness, then it's easy to underpredict the needs of people of color because the biases that exist within our societies are encoded within those algorithms. So you may think that a patient that doesn't come to the hospital or to a particular hospital doesn't need care. Even though they're at home, they're still sick, they're just not coming back in. So we still need to provide those patients with the resources.
So Emily, this is Brian, would you consider yourself an education company or are you a care company? What's kind of, where are you carving out your space?
We're hoping to help provide care by partnering with hospitals to better help them run their own discharge care facilities within their personal space. They may just lack the algorithms to do this in an effective and fair manner.
Hey, Emily, this is Sean. Great presentation, great identification of a true problem. How does the revenue stream work though?
So we've been in discussions talking about a shared savings model since we're also more effective than other algorithms that we've compared ourselves against. So by reducing the number of readmissions, that saves the hospital money. And so we can use that model.
The hospital is your end user client in this case?
We've currently been considering that. We've also been talking to payers to see if they would be interested, like insurance companies. So we're still early on in this process, but that's kind of our thought process right now.
Thank you.
What are some other examples? So if I understand it, the payers are the ones who come up with the algorithms today and they decide what they're going to pay accordingly. And you've got something that could either refute that or something you could go to the payers and help them be more prescriptive.
We're hoping that our algorithm can help people intervene early so patients don't have a decrease in health until they have to be readmitted. If we can tell someone's going to be readmitted, then we can provide them with additional resources so that they don't have to be readmitted. So we're hoping our algorithm can kind of fit in that space.
Fascinating.
So is your value proposition ultimately to cut healthcare costs? Is that what you're driving, plus help with the inequities?
Yes, and being really that bridge between a hospital of acute care to primary care and making sure that transition is smooth by providing the resources in between, or providing the financial justification for providing those resources in between.
I'm more English than math, so I'm grateful for people like you, Emily.
Thank you.
All right, Emily, there are your questions. Thank you so much for answering. You actually rounded out our launch phase, so thank you so much for that. Emily, thank you for telling us about your company, and thank you to all of the people who pitched within launch. That is MediQuest and College Leaps, Angie and April of both of those startups. All right, that is our launch phase. Up next, we have the up and running phase. And in the up and running category, we've got companies that have at least $25,000 in revenue or more. Most of these companies are just figuring out their first steps, right? Hiring their first employees, getting to that first year of revenue above those six-figure mark. They're really trying to get that social proof, their proof of concept established and really hitting the marketplace running. So we've got 3 companies in this category that we would be excited to share with you. Up first, we've got Dr. Kymberly Moyer of Magnolia Family Medicine. Dr. Moyer, I see you are there, ready to go.
Hello.
You ready for your minute?
Yes.
All right, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. We've all experienced it. Long wait times to see your doctor, limited access to your physician, and surprise, expensive medical bills that come in the mail 3 weeks later. Unfortunately, this has become the new normal in our healthcare system. I'm Dr. Moyer, and I'm changing that for this community. I opened Magnolia Family Medicine to create more affordable, more accessible, and hassle-free primary care. We're the only practice in town that doesn't have a waiting room. There's no copays or charges per visit. Every patient has my cell phone number, and we're even doing house calls. I can do this because I have eliminated the financial burden of a large corporate overhead, and I do not bill health insurance. I contract directly with my patients on a low monthly membership fee, usually less than the price of their cell phone bill, and we reserve their health insurance for catastrophic illnesses that put them in the hospital or require surgery. Under this direct care model, annual labs become $10 versus $200. Medications are $6 less on average per prescription, and procedures are never more than $25. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Dr. Moyer with Magnolia Family Medicine.
Thank you, Dr. Moyer. I think I saw Tara in the chat say, I'm already sold. Where do I sign up? So you may get some customers out of your pitch today. All right, 2 minutes and some change on the clock for our Q&A.
That's
Hey, Dr.
amazing.
Moyer,
Okay,
great presentation. How do you differentiate yourself from the other concierge medical groups in town?
That's a great question. I get that question a lot. So concierge medicine has been around for a long time, and it's tailored toward wealthy people. Usually the price point for that is going to be $150 or more per month. So sometimes it's not affordable for everybody. And in addition to that, concierge practices bill both. They bill health insurance companies, and they also bill the patient. So direct primary care is different because you're looking at a price point of anywhere between $50 to $100 per month. At Magnolia Family Medicine, we charge $75 per month. And so, you know, for someone who can afford a cell phone bill, usually you can afford direct primary care.
A friend of mine is disrupting the dentist world with a company called Tend, and it's a really high touch dental experience. What's your scalability plan for this, and what type of doctor fits in your system?
Sure. So my practice actually focuses on quality of healthcare and not quantity. So my end goal is not to just get as many patients as I can. Your average primary care doctor these days carries about 3,000 patients. That is too much to know everybody's name, everybody's family. And I think that's a very important factor as a primary care doctor, is to know what they do for a job, know their family dynamics. That really plays into their health. As a whole, direct primary care physicians are growing. There are a few in every major city in the United States now. I think we're creeping up on about 2,000 physicians now doing this direct care model. So individually, we're small, but we're growing together in this network and helping to promote patient awareness for this model of healthcare.
All right, we've got time for one more. I think, Sean, are you?
Yeah,
There we go, take it away.
I've got to unmute. Come up with an app for that, Dr. Moyer. Thanks for the presentation. That network you described of the other, similar providers, how networked is it? So if I'm buying from your service and I'm on vacation at the beach, can I tap into that same network and go to your sister clinic, if you will?
We are not a unified group other than just a mere network of friends, colleagues, physicians that reach out to each other. We share secrets, tips on how to get better pricing for patients, how to get better care for patients. So we all communicate with each other. It's interesting that you bring that up because within our network, if someone is traveling, and I've seen this happen many times before, if someone's traveling on vacation, I've seen one doctor reach out to another and say, hey, are you available to see this patient on a Saturday? I think they need stitches. And I've seen them take them in to their clinic, provide stitches for free, and send them on their way as just a professional courtesy. So it's really great. This is just a really cool way that doctors are coming together for the greater good of patients. And the relationship between the doctor and the patient is just more pure.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Moyer, thank you so much. Thank you, judges, for those questions.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Kim.
Thank you.
Up next, we have someone who's also in the education space. We've got a startup called Persist Nashville, and the CEO and founder, Scott Campbell, is on to talk to us about it.
Good afternoon, I'm Scott Campbell, and I'm the executive director of Persist Nashville. Did you know that only 26% of students who graduate from Nashville high schools are earning a post-secondary degree? That's right, 3 out of every 4 of the students who graduate from our high schools are failing to earn the degree that will lead to the career and economic freedom that many of us enjoy. At Persist Nashville, we're doing something about it. We currently coach over 400 graduates of the class of 2020, and they're persisting at a rate better than 13% of their peers. We have an opportunity in the 2021 to coach over 2,000 graduates of the class of 2021, allowing us to scale and serve nearly 50% of the graduating class. At Persist Nashville, we coach students through text and virtual conversations. We develop leaders on campus to help build community amongst their peers. And we care for our students with an emergency fund and access to Nashville professionals in fields of their interest. This also helps solve the problem many of our businesses have of recruiting a diverse talent pipeline from our hometown. At Persist Nashville, we empower Nashville graduates to earn a college degree, and we hope you join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for telling us about Persist. Judges, you have 2 minutes and some change to ask Scott questions about Persist in the model and how he's supporting students of the class of 2020 and 2021.
What a wonderful pursuit with Persist there. What's your revenue model? How do you get paid?
Sure, we're a 501c3. So while we do rely on philanthropic contributions, we also have a fee-for-service model that will charge either schools, universities, or nonprofit partners we work with to work on a per student basis. And we're able to do this work at a cost that's about 1/8 of other college persistence programs. So we currently have 2 partners. That would be YMCA, YCAP, Black Achievers, Latino Achievers, and Republic High School, who are paying customers to this work.
And have you considered a recruiting function on the other side of that, where you would be able to introduce potential players?
Yeah, we have a great partner, Brett Michaels, who works for Google Sales, who's been helping us try to develop some of those relationships to potentially work with and serve our local businesses and help them in supporting their diverse talent pipeline.
Thank you. That's
Thanks
awesome.
for taking this on. It's an amazing when you put those stats out there, what a real problem we have collectively. But when you intercede or step into that role of advising and pushing someone forward, is it always at the senior level, or do you do it at a much, much earlier level? Because many of these, I don't even want to say decisions, but you put someone on a path of this is the only acceptable option, probably happens at a much, much younger age. Is there an opportunity there?
There is, so there's 2 pieces when you think about college. There's college access work and there's college persistence work. In Nashville, about 80% of students are planning to go to college, and they've taken those actionable steps of filling out FAFSA, applying for school. And yet only, and this number was given before by Angie, about 61% of those students are actually enrolling in school. So one of the gaps that we saw right off the bat is that we have a persistence problem. We are losing approximately 43% of our students from the time they graduate high school to 1 year out, re-enrolling in their second year of college. And that's really the gap we're trying to solve right now. We work with a bunch of our access partners like Oasis and the YCAP programs, and we support students who they served in the access and then become their persistence wing of their organizations. So that's kind of the model that we put out there for now.
Thank you.
So what are some of your deliverables to actually close that gap?
Yeah, so when we think about what student issues that they're having with persisting, one is navigating the system. So they have a regular coach they can reach out to anytime via text, and we're communicating with students literally 7 days a week over text. We're connecting them with resources that exist on their campus that are there, and many of our universities have them, but students who are first generation or low income just don't know they exist or how to access them. So we're helping point them in the right direction. And then, like we said before, we're also developing student leads on their campus. So there's a small group of students from Nashville at approximately 20 different campuses where there's a student lead who's working or supporting them and checking in. Currently, we have actually 14 student leads at those campuses, but we're actually developing more in the upcoming year. So those are some of the ways we connect them. But as we said before, we also are working to connect them better with Nashville professionals to help them in that career so that we can kind of close that K to J pipeline.
And so when you're looking for an investor in that scenario, how does the investor cash out of something like that?
Well, first of all, I think we're all better community when all of our students are kind of completing there. I also see a lot of local businesses are making investments in the K-12 space, but then those students are never actually graduating. And so we're actually trying to close that gap for them. Imagine a business like Omni Hotels that works with students at Hunters Lane High School, and they're seeing their students, and they're working with them in 9-12 space, and yet only about 15% of those students are actually getting a college degree. We can help support those students after they leave the K-12 space, coach them through the next 4 year, connect them with internship opportunities there so that they're going to actually work and support those businesses later on in their careers.
I can totally get the vision of what you're doing, and it's absolutely beautiful. It seems like more you're investing in a community rather than a traditional investment because of the not-for-profit piece of it. So
that's true.
Helpful.
Yep, absolutely.
I was muted. Guilty. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for telling us about Persist, and grateful in much the same way that we were to Angie for what you're trying to do that is for the benefit of all of Nashville. So thank you so much. And then finally, rounding us out, I can't believe how quickly we're moving through this program. Y'all got us down to a science. We have our last pitch of the day with Dominique Townsend of Work Life Success. Dominique, I'll hand it off to you as soon as I see you on.
Hi, are you able to see me?
Yes, it looks perfect.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
perfect.
The time is yours.
All right, hey everybody. So working moms are compromising their work and life goals due to increased demand of managing schooling for their children, all while working from home in this pandemic. So this will lead to a gender gap increase by 50% if solutions aren't provided. Companies across Nashville will be negatively impacted in workplace productivity and in the retention rate of a diverse talent pipeline. Work-life success is a solution that helps companies introduce principles that improves how they adapt and support their working mom demographic and caregiver demographic. Since our pivot in April, we have trained over 600 employees and achieved a 95% success rate. We seek to launch a 9-week cohort series that supports the development and on-demand support for working moms to accelerate how they sustain success and also better position companies and how they adapt to needs for their working parent demographic. I'm Dominique Townsend. I am the face of the person that I seek to help, a working mom of 4 and an engineer who understands the challenges and solutions to support both working moms and businesses. We lead in healthcare, tourism, sports, and entertainment. I believe Nashville can also lead in workplace innovation. I'm not just saying this because it's my hometown, but because I believe that we can do phenomenal things by supporting entrepreneurs like myself who seek to create positive good in the world. If you agree with me, comment Nashville for work-life success in the chat below. Thank you all.
Yes, creating some virality. Love it, Dominique. Love that. All right, 2 minutes for our judges to ask questions of Dominique. And I can attest before you begin that Dominique's 4 children are amazing. So if you're at all starting a business the way you've started your family, then I'm in. All right, judges, take it away.
Well, Dominique, this is Sean Henry. Thank you for identifying not just the problem that's been there for far too long, but really exacerbated right now and in ways that we can't even appreciate, or I can't appreciate fully. Describe the revenue streams though. Who are your end clients, and can you get on both sides of it?
Yes, so currently our revenue stream consists mainly of facilitating webinars and also facilitating discussions with employee resource network groups within corporations. What we're noticing is that we have a 95% impact rate, meaning over 80 within the first couple of weeks of our training, people have seen an 80% improvement in their productivity. And looking at the mental well-being, people are more engaged with their leaders, but they also have better communication strategies. But what we're seeing is a gap in ongoing support needs. So we're seeking to add a revenue stream, which would be a 9-week cohort series, so companies can further support their working parents. So if they want to have 20 working moms go through a 9-week cohort, what we do is we accelerate their ability to be positioned to where they can navigate these challenges, but also they don't feel like they need to compromise their career goals and their paths that they were already on pre-pandemic. And so it allows companies to best support their working parents, but also show them like with these solutions, we can accelerate the development and on-demand support, which will be the second revenue stream that we're looking to launch in next year in 2021.
I love that energy you bring as a closer here. What's an example of one of the big life hacks you help a working mom view her challenges in a different way? And my mom was a working mom for a while, so I appreciate and respect what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Jerry. So for the life hack is more of using design principles. So as an engineer, I've often used just the engineering approach to define the problem, just measure the impact. What is that one thing that I need to do to help me go along the path of bringing a project to success? It's applying that same principle to help working moms get that in the design thinking approach. So the biggest thing that we do is we start to define that problem. Like what is that impact that you have in your work? What is the impact you have in life? And then what we do is revolve solutions around that. And then after we identify the optimal solution for that working mom, or say if it's a leader and they just don't know how to adapt to the needs of their company, we look at that one problem and align those actions that go to the goal of having long-term success, but also having them be better available to adapt to those changes.
So you'll look at it from a process perspective and say, look, as we look at challenges in this, you can overlay several problems, and it just teaches us a better way to look at these things. Yes. And then maybe using specific examples, but not focusing on the specific examples.
Yeah, and we provide on-demand support, meaning like no appointment necessary. So if there is something in relation to productivity coaching needs, mental health specialists, we have mental health specialists that are on demand, which means open office hours where people can literally just log in and ask a question or if they have any concerns. So as they're going through their process, they have that ability to have on-demand support and we look at what the strategy is. What are you currently doing? And we communicate with leaders where we can serve as that facilitator, that liaison that helps communicate their needs, but also better support the leaders on how they adapt to needs for their department or their company.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dominique, would you please email me a proposal? We were on a call this morning about this exact problem in our organization. So it's needed and appreciated.
I will do that. Thank you so much, Sean.
One call closed. That's impressive.
I'm not going to cry. I promise. I won't cry.
Hey, listen, it is a very key need. Vaco the same way. I always say quorum crazy is a real thing. It doesn't affect us all the same, but affects us all still the same. So what you're doing really resonates with a lot of things we're considering. So I guess, Sean, it's the first call, but I'd love one too, and I'll send you some details around it. Thank
Introduction pricing, remember. First client gets
I'll keep that in mind.
Dominique, congratulations on helping shine a light on so many people out here in the world trying to make it through this year and parent their kids, be stay-at-home parents who are also stay-at-home until work parents. And congratulations on making it through yourself. I know that 2020 is not over and this pandemic is not anywhere close to over. It's been a year. It's been a year and you've navigated it really gracefully. Shout out to all of our working parents out there who are doing the same thing, especially our entrepreneurial working parents, just balancing it all. All right, to recap this round, this was our up and running 25K or higher in revenue round. We had Magnolia Family Medicine, Dr. Kymberly Moyer on to talk us about her personalized solution to make doctors and patients more closely paired in their care programs. And then we had Persist Nashville, Scott Campbell, Executive Director of Persist Nashville, a 501c3 that is supporting college-bound students to persist through their college career. And then finally, Dominique Townsend on to talk about work-life success to support working parents, particularly working moms, adapt to the challenges of their growing careers and, of course, managing all the competing priorities at home. Thank you to all three of you. Thank you to all six of you. And right now, what we're going to do is allow our judges an opportunity to submit their scores, to get their scores in. For those of you who might not be familiar with Pitch for Good, or this is your first Pitch for Good, first of all, welcome. But one of the things the judges do as we go through is they evaluate each pitch on a series of criteria, such as the quality of the pitch, the scalability of the pitch, so on and so forth. So right now, we're going to let them do their judging. At the same time, you have a role to play as well. So we have an audience vote here, and this audience vote will determine who is the recipient of a $1,500 scholarship to the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, which they can use in any way they like. You can use it for a mailbox. You can use it to get a permanent desk set up at the EC. You can use it to go through one of our programs. It is about the same cost as Pre-Flight, our 14-week program to get your business off the ground. And there's a really successful program. We've graduated some 400 or 500 people from that program since we first launched in 2010. Now, your turn to vote on that recipient should be popping up onto your screen. So you should have a Zoom poll that's going to allow you to pick your favorite. That will give you the chance to pick the audience favorite. Go ahead and vote. Jeremy will keep an eye on that just to see how many people have completed that poll. So don't think you're not going to get checked for your work. Jeremy is out there. He is counting our percentage of completion. And in this time in between when we are letting our judges submit their scores, when you're submitting their scores, we actually have a little bit of time to ask our judges some questions. So I wanted to, before we get to that, just talk about some of our partners who are on. So the first is Fourth Capital, which is truly across the street from the EC. We are neighbors now. And welcome, of course, again to Brian Heinrichs, who is the president of Fourth Capital. Brian, I'm curious, what makes Fourth Capital Nashville? What makes you feel like a Nashville bank? And of course, you have that gorgeous view of downtown. But what is it that makes you so excited to be part of this community?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fourth Capital, I mean, our tagline is decidedly local. What makes us unique is we are this community. We are only in the greater Nashville area. Our vision is to serve businesses, nonprofits, and just bank people in this community. The fact that we're privately held, focused on the long term, we're not publicly traded, we're not for sale. That affords us the opportunity to sit down and create long-term mutually beneficial relationships with the community and its businesses. So that's really our vision in a nutshell.
I love that. I mean, it's especially, I think one of the things, I mean, as someone who works with entrepreneurs, one of the things that's been really fascinating to me to study is just sort of the disappearance of some of the small banks that have been a huge part of the entrepreneurial community and small business community for decades in America. But thankful to folks like Fourth Capital and some of our other banking partners here in Nashville who make it possible to work with entrepreneurs. So thank you for sponsoring today's event. Thank you for being our neighbor. You're a wonderful neighbor. No complaints, and you've added some green grass to our pavilion over there, which is desperately needed. So thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having me. I mean, I think that, community banks are the lifeblood of small business, and
absolutely,
big cities lack that community bank presence, and that's what we're trying to fill that void.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you doing it. It's going to make a huge difference, already making a big difference in people's lives. So we've got Dell Technologies, who we don't have a sponsor on from Dell, but they have been a huge part of this series across the spring. We started in May, and we're at this is our 7th Pitch for Good. Dell has been through it with us from the beginning. They also are a huge tech supporter of the EC. They are one of the reasons why we all have staff computers now. So thank you to Dell Technologies. If you don't know, they have a huge office here in Nashville. So you may very well, play bar trivia, work at the Y next to someone who works for Dell Technologies, because they have an enormous presence in Nashville, which kind of under the radar, but they are here. They're a big part of our city and our tech infrastructure and ecosystem. We also have the Kauffman Foundation, the Ewing, Mary and Kauffman Foundation, which is the heart of research on entrepreneurship and innovation. If you're someone who's interested in entrepreneurship, maybe you're not yourself an entrepreneur, but you want to support entrepreneurship, or you're an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where to get started or how this whole wacky world works, I would definitely check out the Ewing, Mary and Kauffman Foundation's white papers and research. They are just a font of knowledge and resources. And they've sponsored throughout the series and helped us ensure that entrepreneurs who win today's Pitch for Good and all the Pitch for Goods are awarded a cash grant to continue their work. So thank you to all of those sponsors. I also wanted to ask a couple questions of some of our other judges who are on. Jerry, first of all, you've been a phenomenal participant and panelist, I will say. If I knew that if I didn't bring the energy today, you certainly would. So I feel like I did like 70% today, because I knew you'd get us to maybe 150 with your own energy.
I like to poll the audience and ask them if they've ever seen Brynn not bring the energy. That's my question. I already know the answer to that.
I really try. I really do. I do jumping jacks before we get on. I do it all. I'm curious. I mean, I feel like this has just been like such an interesting world to be an employer since the pandemic. I'm wondering if you've seen any trends in what are different kind of companies coming to Vaco to source talent, or different kind of employees coming to Vaco to source talent. And for anyone who doesn't know, just maybe tell them what Vaco does and what you've seen this year from your vantage point as this growing company in talent management.
Well, thank you so much, Brynn. This has been so exciting. I'm an entrepreneurial junkie, and it's kind of like everybody loves entrepreneurs now, but if you look it up in the dictionary, I'm so empathetic where you guys are. It should say in the first couple of years, gritty and soul crushing and confidence shaking and terrifying and sleep stealing and so unstable so often. So I really admire and appreciate what you guys are doing. And how you're going the whole way with some extraordinary ideas. So Vaco, what we try to do is we try to help clients with all things that a human can solve, from entry level to the C-suite. And we do that through retained search, consultative project, true methodology-driven consulting, and contingent placement and staffing and managed services through operations domestically, as well as in India and throughout Europe. So, and it started right here in Nashville. So I'm so grateful we have over 45 offices across the country now, and I'm so grateful for being able to start our organization in Nashville. I'll take a different answer, Brynn. If you think about what we've seen in 2020, it's been such an uncertain era, and we're all going to be stronger on the other side of this. All these companies are, but it's come at a cost we haven't paid before. The loss of people that we love, or the loss of people that we love who lost people that we love. And we've really anchored down to the lessons of 2020 to really honor those in a living memorial, to love those players more than we've ever loved them before, and support those players as a living memorial to those players that we've lost. So we really anchor that in two different areas. One is the pandemic. We came up with the slogan of the mantra of 6 feet away and closer than ever, and really in the concept being intentional about how we are entering things. Our very first tenet is Outlaws Welcome. And there's a saying in our business that says you hire for a resume and then the whole dang person shows up. Well, that's our favorite thing because we do life together. And I think the pandemic really showed us we have to be a lot more intentional to actually welcome outlaws because we're all going through things that we didn't understand. And we've seen that through the Zoom calls. And then you look at the social injustices and the social renaissance that's coming on the other side of that through the racial atrocities. We've really anchored down in that. And we've really, through our people and through the vulnerabilities, have shared concepts, a few key mantras we anchor in, like, don't worry about saying the right thing, just say something. Listen to understand, not to respond. And I love the one from Widner in Orlando, which is, of course you're uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable too. The magic is in the uncomfortable space. Let's lean into that together. And that's resulted in 3-hour Zoom calls with hundreds of people with our Black and brown voices sharing their experiences vulnerably. And it made it so real and it's democratized the information. So we really have been much more intentional about how we know people and how we create an environment that's really outlaws welcome for everyone. So we're obsessed with learning and holding the lessons of 2020.
Wow, I'm always blown away because I do feel like one of the things that entrepreneurship makes happen is to just pushing. And sometimes in the course of doing work, you don't necessarily take time to reflect. So I'm always really impressed by the way you can vacillate between this down on the ground, hands and feet work with people, and then kind of zoom up to that 10,000 feet and be really reflective about what am I learning about this, getting meta about what is not just what is happening in this moment, but what am I learning about myself and about the people around me through what's happening in this moment. So really look up to you. As Jane said, she said, you're a shining example of Nashville, completely agree. And congrats on Vaco's growth. 45 offices across the US it's understated, but that's something to shake a stick at. Nothing to shake a stick at. 45 offices isn't bananas.
We made every mistake imaginable. If we miss one, we go back and make it just to make the lesson. So it's been a long journey, and I'm grateful for this community being so nurturing. And I'm just so grateful for your energy.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks so much. And I'm glad that we can be corn crazy together because Lord knows
exactly
there's days when it happens. And then Sean, I had a question for you. This is related to employment. It's so funny, like this topic of talent and employment is just really running a thread through today. But the Nashville Predators were recently named the best employers in sports, the best employer, or was on the best employer in sports list. I'm curious if you had recommendations, ideas, suggestions to entrepreneurs who are out here building their teams or early teams, even if it's a team of two, on how they can grow that team, how they can make it a place where everyone can thrive.
Yeah, almost stealing a line from Jerry. You're going to say the wrong thing. Don't be afraid to. And in all spaces. And, we focus on culture all day, every day, because without it, nothing else matters. But our culture is fairly irreverent. It revolves around hard work. It revolves around everyone being involved in every single thing we do. So if you're a marketing person, you better get used to an accountant weighing in on what we're doing, what we're promoting, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. And at first, that's a little unsettling. It's not for everybody. Not everyone feels comfortable being uncomfortable, if you will. But once they do, it's pretty magical. The second is literally, I have never said no to an employee's idea, ever, like without exception. Now, it sounds fantasy a little bit, but what we do is we're saying yes to your goal more so than actually the process that you want to follow. And then don't just throw out an idea and walk away, because a suggestion is really a dressed up criticism. We really want people to come up with ideas, be part of the implementation, and then see it through and know that we're going to fail more than we succeed, but don't be embarrassed about that. As long as we're not failing out of laziness or arrogance, it's going to push us forward. And in the end, you end up creating a pretty cool place to be. We're one of 2 NHL teams, one of 4 NHL NBA teams that haven't laid anyone off or cut anyone's pay during the pandemic.
Wow.
This is an opportunity to come closer together and get more people involved in more areas. And unfortunately, we do have some downtime and free time. So it's an opportunity to get closer to the community and volunteer even more than we do. So it's become a cool place to be. And I walked in the doors 10 years ago, great organization, but it was not known for its innovation. It was not known for its culture. It was not known for, people getting successful, promoting from within and watching careers soar. And I think that turnaround's just been fun. And it's neat, that virtually every other team in all sports, almost every Major League Baseball team, 20 NFL teams, 29 hockey teams, 20 NBA teams have all sat in our offices asking us, how do you do this? And the weird one is when they say, why do you do this? That one, you're like, because if you don't get why, I don't know why you waste the plane ticket to come to Nashville.
You'd definitely be hard pressed to find an entity that is as loved as the Preds are and has made. I think I read an article when the Preds were in the playoff that said there aren't bandwagon fans of the Preds. There are fans who are there are people who are discovering their fandom. They're discovering that they care about hockey, kind of like Jerry's dad. They're discovering that they care about hockey. They're discovering that they have these hometown heroes kind of in their midst. And as Nashville becomes a sports capital, I think the Preds are really at the heart of it and kind of spreads throughout our other professional teams as well. So thank you for being here, Mr. President. I really like how you say that.
I did not do that though.
Whoever did that is clever, and I love a pun. So please give them my kudos.
Guilty.
It was Jeremy.
I will say, Sean uses it on his LinkedIn, so I feel like if it's on LinkedIn, it's the real deal.
Yes, it is. Yes. So Jeremy, we have about 3 minutes. So should we announce? Okay, we need Jerry's score still. Is that
no? We got Jerry's scores. We have it. We have it.
I was just more thoughtful than the other judges. So
just quickly, Brynn, you can quickly ask the mayor the judge question, and then I'll have the winners ready to go.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we wanted to ask Mayor Cooper a question about 2021 and looking ahead to 2021. Before we do that, we just do want to, again, thank the mayor's office, thank the city council, thank particularly the COVID-19 CARES committee that worked to understand how we were going to use CARES money to support our city's endeavors and our city's people. So thank you. Because of you all and your generosity and really your innovation and looking towards the future, we were able to launch the Renew program, through which we've been able to support just about 500 entrepreneurs to get access to on-demand entrepreneurial support in legal, financial, strategy, supply chain, you name it, as well as hosted some 90 events hosted by our Haley Zapolsky, who's on the line here. 90 events with some 4,000 watchers out there. So thank you. Thank you so much. Because of that, we feel so much closer to all the entrepreneurs who are here in Nashville, feel like they have a home away from home. We were curious, even though 2020 has been, wow. I don't want to say any words about it because I'm on the clock and there are bad words. 2020 has been a lot, but I'm curious if there are things about 2021 that give you hope or give you a sense of promise or excitement about what's to come, aside, of course, from the end of this pandemic. What about 2021 makes you excited?
Well, thank you, Brynn. And I just always want to thank you and Jane. It's a fabulous program. It was a great honor to see these incredible presentations that make you so happy about the future, that we have talented people that are addressing the problems creatively. And that's what makes you happy about 2021. It'll be a great moment on New Year's Eve when we say goodbye to 2020, to be sure. But we've got the people and we have the city for us to have just a great 21st century. But it's going to be individual innovators that are going to lead us in doing that. And it's great to have a showcase for them today to show that there's no problem that will stop us. With the right people, we can solve any problem. And I'm grateful to our program. And that's the attitude for 2021 is let's have 2020 give us the confidence for a big future ahead, that we faced a lot of challenges, but we'll be clear on the other side. And in a few months, we'll be on the other side of the pandemic. For everybody listening, the next 6 weeks ahead are the most dangerous of the entire time. So we have to continue our vigilance, to be sure. But at some point in the second quarter, we're going to be moving beyond this. And I think the collective excitement of being on the other side of COVID is going to create an energy for the country and the culture that we need to be positioned to take advantage of that fundamentally optimistic place that we're going to be at. It's like we're moving all the optimism from this year over to next year. Well, let's get ready to use that to create a great city. So, but thank you, Brynn, for the question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me excited for 2021. I know in June of 2021, I'm going to be at the Dive Motel and pretending like COVID never happened. So I hope you guys are there too. hanging out by the pool or maybe by Pinewood Social next door. So everyone's invited for that hangout.
Save my seat.
Yeah, please come join us. It'll be an EC pool party. Can't wait. With that, Jeremy, we have all of our scores tallied.
We have the scores tallied, and we'll kick it to the winners. And as we announce them, we're going to bring them to the virtual stage. And at the end, judges will all get a picture before we have to wrap up. So I'm really excited to announce the first winner from the launch category is expected value. So round of applause.
Congratulations.
Virtual
expected
class.
value.
So Emily, you have joined us. And for the up and running category, we have work-life success. Dominique Townsend, congratulations. And last but not least, for the crowd favorite, the audience vote that gets an EC scholarship, we have College Leaps, Angie Allen, who is also joining us on stage. I'm going to go ahead and also promote April of MediQuest, Dr. Kim Moyer of, Magnolia Family Medicine, and Scott of Persist. And congratulations, all of you guys, for making it to the round. We're going to grab a quick picture, and then for those who have to bounce, we can bounce. But Brynn just has a couple of announcements that are a little bit more EC and programmatically related. So if you can just bear with me, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see all your beautiful faces up close and personal. I'm going to get my screenshot ready. And on the count of three, just give your best Nashville face, whatever that means. It might be fang fingers, it might be, something else. But on the count of three, we'll do a quick picture. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it. And with that, congratulations one more time. I will just kick it really quickly back over to Brynn, who just has a couple of last EC announcements before we call it for the afternoon.
Yes, very, very quick. Thank you. We cannot say it enough. Thank you so much to everyone who's on, our judges, our panelists, our background, behind the scenes selection committees. This is the 7th Pitch for Good, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Jeremy? Or is this the 8th?
Indeed.
The 7th. Which means that we've had probably fielded more than 200 or 300 1-minute pitches by our selection committee this year. So thank you so much. Thank you to our judges who are on, and the 25 or so judges who've been part of this across the year. If those of you, if you don't know, I don't know how much we've made noise about this, but we have a partnership with the Titans that is going on right now, and part of this Pitch for Good series. So to round out this entire series, all of the winners of the for the Pitch for Good will be participating in a Super Bowl called Tennessee Tough, which will be presented in partnership with the Titans and Pinnacle Bank on January 25th. This is head to head, and the winner of that will be the Titans Small Business Partner of the Year. So for the entire 2021-2022 season, that company will be the Small Business Partner of the Tennessee Titans, which is thrilling to us. Also, as I mentioned, Renew Nashville. This is a free program that any entrepreneur in Nashville can access to get one-to-one on-demand advising, to access all of the workshops that are hosted and put on by our members of our Renew Nashville team and our Renew Nashville program manager, Haley Zapolsky. So please check that out. And then finally, we've just put out a gift guide, a holiday gift guide. As you know, Nashville is a place that loves to shop local. It is a place that is, in Bryant, Steel Fourth Capital, decidedly local. So please make sure that you check out that holiday gift guide if you want to find out who you can buy from here in town and what entrepreneurs you support. As you know, when you buy from a small business, you're not just buying, you're not just putting a bottom dollar towards some big amorphous blob of a company. You're really investing in a family, in a community, in a household, and really giving to your neighbors and to your friends. So please, please, please check that out. Well, last but not least, we're a 501c3 non-for-profit, nonprofit. Words. Got them. 2020 is almost over. I could just keep a few more words in here. But we want you all to stay safe, just re-emphasizing Mayor Cooper's words. These next 6 weeks are going to be really a test for us, but we're strong, we're tough, we can do it. So let's get through these next 6 weeks and get on the other side of 2021. If you know anyone who needs support, if they want to be an entrepreneur, they're already one, they want to become one, send them to the EC. And we will see you at the EC very, very, very soon. Thank you all so much, and congratulations to each of you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, judges. Thank you, teams. Congratulations. Look like
Hey, Jeremy, do we get that picture? Yeah,
What's
one
up?
more crazy pick. That's so good. I'll send it out. It was a pleasure. More us really soon.
More us.
That's right.
Bye,
Congrats, everyone.
Congrats.
Entrepreneurs will be in touch soon with next steps. Everyone that's out there, have a great holiday season. We love you. And yeah, stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Keep at it, guys. Go, guys.